The entire history of human conflict is simply a sequence of new technologies arriving and making previous battlefields completely obsolete. Over centuries, we have mapped warfare across 5 established domains: land, sea, air, space, and finally, cyber. But a new threshold has been crossed. This evolution doesn't target physical territory or digital networks. We are witnessing the activation of the 6th domain, the direct manipulation of human consciousness. War fought inside the mind is uniquely dangerous. It leaves no physical debris and triggers no traditional alarms, making it nearly impossible to track or counter without acknowledging the victim's reality. The center of this operation is a highly classified psychological warfare unit within the GRU, Russia's military intelligence service. Their primary tool is a device described internally as a quantum phone to the consciousness. This system utilizes quantum entanglement to establish instantaneous, undetectable access to a target's neurological and biological processes. Operators use this connection to inject phantom noises and whispered threats directly into a subject's thoughts. They can remotely trigger biological disruptions, including forced insomnia, waves of nausea, and sudden migraines. This creates what intelligence officials call perfect deniability. Because the signal leaves no physical trace, medical professionals routinely misdiagnose victims with textbook schizophrenic psychosis. The strategic objective is total subversion, identifying high-value expatriates to test their susceptibility, recruit them as assets, or drive them to psychological collapse, all without firing a single shot. The GRU's case file on Alexei Ivanov reveals why he was selected. Alexei is a brilliant Chuvash and American who builds financial algorithms. He was the perfect target, highly cleared, fully assimilated, and a man who had entirely forgotten his native Russian heritage. During his REM sleep, the GRU flooded his dreams with engineered visions of Russian glory. The goal was to reach into his subconscious and forcefully rewrite his deepest psychological loyalties. When Alexei approached U.S. intelligence agencies with meticulously logged evidence of these attacks, he was dismissed as legally insane. Despite this isolation and ongoing torture, Alexei refused to break. He began transforming from a victim into the first acknowledged combatant of this new domain. Night after night, Alexei cataloged the whispers with the same precision he used for financial code. One evening, he isolated an anomaly. He found a microscopic flaw, an unnatural rhythmic error in an injected phrase. The operator stressed the second syllable of everywhere, pronouncing it everywhere. This glitch proved a fatigued human was on the other end. Alexei cross-referenced the error, confirming Russian phonological transfer. Alexei launched a counteroffensive. He deliberately relearned Russian, not to submit to the programming, but to decode the intrusions and anticipate the GRU's tactics. He erected a cognitive firewall, training himself to categorize and isolate injected impulses before they could merge with his own thoughts. This human error compromised the Kremlin's most sophisticated weapon. By isolating the person behind the machine, Alexei gained the leverage he needed to resist. Because the GRU failed to disconnect him during his sleep cycles, a critical protocol error, the quantum entanglement became a permanent bidirectional bridge. Alexei's neurology adapted to this constant stream of subatomic data, eventually allowing him to perceive what he describes as a dendritic tree of possible futures. This revealed a civilizational fork. One side leads to techno-totalitarian collapse, the other to a star-exploring pan-federation. Alexei utilized this two-way channel to transmit information back to the source. He injected objective facts, truth viruses, directly into the GRU's matrix. The program failed because its architects made a fundamental error. They treated the human mind as a hackable machine, underestimating the strength of a disciplined consciousness. By the end of the siege, Alexei's identity was fixed. He had survived the transition from a target to a warrior, ultimately defining himself as a patriot of humanity. The evolution of warfare into the human mind is a new and dangerous reality, But as Alexei proved, even the most invasive weapon cannot conquer a single, resilient human consciousness.